Good morning. Today we are working on CO6. I can add and subtract decimals. Before I even start anything, what do you think is the biggest rule for adding and subtracting decimals? Madeline? Line up your decimal points. Just like in the stacking method when we were putting you in order, lining up our decimal points is key. You have to line up decimal points. What happens if we have a blank space? Another important rule. What do we do with blank spaces, Ava?
You can keep blank or add a zero.
Yeah, keep it blank or add a zero. So we know that if there's nothing there, it's a zero. So adding and subtracting decimals is very similar to adding and subtracting multi-digit numbers that you've been doing for years. The numbers are lined up vertically by their place value, and the columns are added or subtracted. You may or may not need to carry a number over if you're adding. So if you are into the double digits, you have to carry over, or you have to borrow for subtraction. Be sure to line up your decimal points, and with addition and subtraction, the decimal drops straight down into your answer. Everything else is just like you've been doing with those multiple digit numbers, except the decimal points have to be lined up and you drop it straight down. Check your answer by first making sure it's reasonable. So if we look at that and we're adding 7.92 plus 3.11, I can look at those whole numbers and say 7 plus 3, it's going to be a little bit bigger than 10. So I'm going to, when I check my answer, I'm going to see, is my answer a little bit bigger than 10? And then I'm going to use a calculator to answer it, to check my answer. On the test, do you think we're going to use a calculator to do decimal point adding and subtracting? No. Okay, you need to know how to do this without using your calculator. You can check on your homework with your calculator, but on the test, we're not going to use our calculator to do this work. So let's look at what it means to carry or borrow from as we're adding and subtracting. So we lined up our decimal points. We always start over on the right side. 2 plus, oh, this is going to be key. We have both adding and subtracting in this objective. We have to pay attention to what operation we're doing. Every year I have kids that forget and they just add all the way through, or they subtract all the way through and they don't double check what operation they're doing. So calculators should be away right now. No calculators out at the moment. I'm doing a lesson. We haven't checked anything. So calculators are away. So close them up, put the covers on so we're not tempted to use it, turn it over so we're not tempted to use it. We start on the right side. 2 plus 1 is 3. 9 plus 1 is 10. This is where we carry. We put down the ones place and we carry the tens place. So it was just 10, so we're carrying a 1. Then we have 1 plus 7 plus 3. So 3 plus 7 is 10, plus 1 is 11, and I bring that decimal place straight down. So when I said I was checking my work, I looked at my whole number. 7 plus 3 is 10. So my number, I knew that there were decimals after. It's going to be a little bit bigger. Is 11.03 a little bit bigger than 10? Yeah, it logically makes sense. It's not 130. I put my decimal in the right place. It's not 4. I made sure I did the right operation. Okay, so 10 or 11.03 seems like it might make sense. So that's when you'd use the calculator to double check, did I do my math right as I'm doing my homework. On the test, can we just put it all in the calculator and say, hey, the calculator knows the answer is 11.3? No, I don't care what the calculator knows. I care what you know. I care that you know how to add and subtract decimals. So our next one, pay attention, it is a subtraction. They lined up our decimal places, and I have an empty place above the 1 in that thousands place. What do I put in my empty place, Zilda?
A 0.
A 0. Can I do 0 minus 1? Now, if I have nothing there, I can't take anything away from it. What do I have to do, Zelda?
You have to borrow from the number next to it.
I have to borrow from that 3, so I am going to bring that down to a 2, and I'm going to turn that 0 into a 10. So now I have 10 minus 1. Can I do that? Yeah, 10 minus 1 is 9. So now I have 2 minus 8. If I only have 2 fingers up, can I take 8 away? No, I have to do the same thing, and I have to borrow again. This time I'm borrowing from that 6, and it becomes a 5. My 2 becomes a 12. So now I can say 12 minus 8 is 4. And I have 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. I'm going to bring that decimal point straight down. Now I have 0 minus 4. If I'm holding up 0 fingers, can I take 4 away? No, I need to borrow again. My 2 becomes a 1. My 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 1 minus 1 is 0. So I end with 6.249. If I look at my whole numbers and I say 20 minus 14, my answer is going to be 6, around 6. Might be a little less, might be a little more, depending on those decimal points. So if I put it in my calculator and I get 6.249 as my answer, I know I was doing my math correctly. So now I look at my next ones. What do I have to do first? If I'm going to add or subtract my decimals, what should my first step be? Zelda?
You need to put it like an up and down, and
I need to
line
stack
up
them.
and you need to line up the decimals.
Yes, I need to stack it, lining up the decimals. So I'm going to take that 60.44, lining up my decimals. I'm going to double check what operation I'm doing. And I look, there's nothing above that 4. So I know I need to put a 0 in that hundredths place. You could also just rewrite the whole thing down here. So we're not running into our numbers over there. And then I really can see I need to put a 0 there. And I know that I am adding. Now I can say 0 plus 4 is 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. I'm going to bring that decimal point straight down. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 plus 6 is 8. 1 plus nothing is 1. And I need to say, was 124 plus 60, is that going to be about 184? Yeah. I can use my calculator, make sure. Big thing there is 124 plus 60 or 124 minus 60, you get a very different answer. It helps you double check, did I do the correct math operation? This one is adding, so it should have gotten bigger. Our last one, again, we need to stack them. 86.92 minus 37.22. 2 minus 2 is 0. 9 minus 2 is 7. Bring that decimal point straight down. 6 minus 7, I cannot take 7 away from 6, so I need to borrow and turn that 6 into a 16. Now I have 16 minus 7 is 9. 7 minus 3 is 4. Is that making sense for us? Any questions on adding or subtracting with the decimal? So surely at some point in your life you have purchased something and needed change. The amount of change you will receive is the price of the item subtracted from the amount of money you gave. So the given amount. For each situation below, find the amount of change that you'll get. Show and check your work. So if you're one of my friends who did not show their work yet, you need to show your work. Okay, this is not mental math time. We are showing our work. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put the given is the first. I gave $10. The price that the cashier is going to keep, I'm buying something for $7.50. I need to know how much I'm getting back in change. Is this important math that we need in our everyday life? It is, because you want to make sure that cashier is giving you the right amount of money back. You want to make sure that you get all of your change. You don't want to lose any money. So when we have those zeros, I know I can't take away from zero, so I'm going to have to borrow. Because I don't want a zero there. Oh, actually, this one is fine. 0 minus 0 is 0. That one was fine. This one, if I have 0, I can't take 5 away from it. Can I take away from this 0? No, because there's nothing there to take. So I have to go all the way out to my 1 and make this a 10. Now I can borrow from 10. That becomes the 9, and this becomes a 10. So I had to borrow and then borrow again. Now I have 10 minus 5 is 5. Bring my decimal point straight down. 9 minus 7 is 2. And then I just have a 0 after that. So my change is going to be $2.50. Do you want me to do one more? All right, we're going to start with our given. Our given is $25. I'm giving them $25. They are taking away the price of $21.40. 0 minus 0 is 0. I cannot take 4 away from 0, so I need to borrow. I can take away from the 5. So my 5 becomes a 4, and my 0 becomes a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. Bring down my decimal points. 4 minus 1 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0. So the amount of money they're going to give me in change is $3.60. You are going to do the last two on that row by yourself. Are there any questions before we look at the bottom of our page? Are we understanding how to line it up, how to borrow? It's really important that we understand how to borrow, even if we have to do it multiple times. So it looks like we're feeling comfortable with that. Give me a thumbs up if you're comfortable with the borrowing. Okay. I'm going to scroll up. Sometimes it's easier to count up when figuring change. For example, you buy something that is $12.30 and you pay with $20. It takes 70 cents to get up to that 13, and then $7 more to get up to $20. So your change will be $7.70. Practice this method on each situation below, or use that standard method that we used above. So if you want to do the counting up method, this is how it would look. To go from 3.25 to 4, it takes 75 cents, right? Then to go from 4 to 5, it takes $1. So it would take $1, it would be $1.75 in change.
Wait, what?
To go from $3.25 to $4, we want to go up. To go from that 25 up to the 4, it's 75 cents. So I know to go from 25 up to that 100, it would be 75. So I'm adding 75 cents to get up to my next whole dollar. Then I want to go from 4 to 5, that's another $1. So I add together that dollar and the 75 cents, and I get $1.75 in change. Do we have to do it this way? No, this is just another way that we can do it. If it does not make sense to you, that's okay. Use the method that you used above. Line it up and subtract the given, subtract the price, and you get left your change. So if you know how to do it this way, if it made sense to you, you can use this method. What I care about is that you're getting the correct answer. Math is a beautiful thing. We can find the correct answer in different ways sometimes. You find the way that works for you. If the first method makes sense, use that. Marina.
So I can use the first method on all of them.
Yes. You can use that first method on all of them, and that is fine. But if you want to use the second method on the bottom section, you can. I'm just showing you a different way to do it that you could use if you want to. What I care about is that you get the correct answer. So if you don't really understand that second method, don't use it. Okay? Because there's a good chance you're going to mess it up and you're going to get the wrong answer. So if it doesn't make sense, don't use it. Use the first one that made sense. If you are watching at home, I hope you are well, and I hope to see you soon. Remember, it is Thursday. Khan Academy is due on Thursday. Math packets are due next week, Tuesday. So make sure you're working on those packets. Watch my YouTube video for the packet. Work on that Khan Academy. Get it done tonight. Have a wonderful day.